Hey guys, before we start this week's episode, we just want to let you know that after the end credits of this episode, there's going to be a little post-credit tribute to a member of the Runcation Nation who we recently lost, Rob Nadal. So at the end of the episode, stick around and listen to Rob and his amazing positivity that he brought to the show during our time that we were able to enjoy with him. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show.
This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going. And we thank you for your support.
Hello, this is Marco Cesaro, and welcome to Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 177 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm, of course, your co-host, Dana.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy that Marco Cesaro introduced us because guess what?
We're T-minus. We're less than 2 weeks away.
I'm so excited. I really hope it all goes off without a hitch. Fingers crossed. I cannot wait to see those two inspirational men, the mayor of Running Bar. Yeah, so Marco Cesaro, the amazing and incredible world record holder for the marathon distance for double amputees. Hello. Inspiration station right there in Anchorage at the Anchorage Run Fest.
Can you tell that we're a little excited about this?
Sorry.
We mentioned it on last week's episode.
Want me to rein it in?
No, this is where you get to we get to share our enthusiasm with the Runcation Nation.
If everything
goes according to plan.
Yes.
Like we mentioned at the last episode, this is going to be our first trip out of state since December of 2019.
No. Yeah. Yes. Oh my God.
I'm glad you listened to last week's episode. Yeah, it's 2019. December 2019 was the last time we traveled out of state for the podcast.
And then the last time we traveled for a live race outside of the Southwest Florida area would have been Jacksonville at the Donna in 2020. At the very beginning of February 2020, before everything happened.
Well, I count going up to Tampa for Richard's Run as outside of Southwest Florida.
Okay.
Technically, it's Central Florida.
I guess Danny agrees with you, so okay.
You've been outvoted by the dog.
Yeah, I can't argue with you.
How can you argue with this cute
Both
face?
Of you. I can't argue. So I think we have
That's the closest, in all seriousness, that is the closest thing we've had to race travel is stuff really here in state.
That's true.
I'm very
it's gonna
excited.
be a great time.
To get back to what we love doing.
Yes.
Destination races and other destinations.
Yes. Florida is great. We love Florida. Let's go elsewhere and explore and indulge food and beverage. Have meetups with the Runcation Nation. Yay.
She's beaming.
Let's do it.
I'm excited.
I'm going to cross my fingers, my toes, everything.
Yeah, and leading up to that, I think that we're going to be ramping up the social media stuff. So you'll see more in terms of stories on Facebook and Instagram while we're there. And that way you're going to get to see and come along with us while we're there.
Takeout learning for me.
And it'll be a lot of fun. Takeout learning.
Yeah. I did never, as a classroom teacher, I never called it homework. I called it takeout learning.
Oh.
Because it's cool to have takeout at home.
Oh, I gotcha.
Food?
Yeah.
No?
So you repackaged homework to try to make it sound cool. I see what you did there.
I guess that's
but
bad.
what I'm talking about is bringing the Runcation Nation along with us, basically.
Yes. But you're giving me takeout learning.
How am I giving you takeout learning?
You're like, hey, step it up, sister.
Oh, well, I can't tell you how many times that we've sat down in front of these microphones and all of a sudden we're doing X. We are? Okay.
Step it up. Is
So,
what you're saying.
my turn.
To me. Okay.
Or your turn. Enjoy.
Sorry.
Anyway.
We got a great show.
I think so. This is going to be, we're going to get serious. We're going to have fun, but we're also going to get a little bit serious.
Yes, I think we'll run the gamut of emotions this evening
I agree.
as we record.
Because we're going to start talking in our running segment. We have two things to discuss in our running segment.
We do.
And one is a training update from me. Mm-hmm. And then the other is a race that we have been talking about that got announced in the Runcation Nation Facebook group. And we have registered for, and we're going to share that with everybody in hopes that you too will register for it. And that's going to be a memorial race for somebody who we lost recently in the Runcation Nation.
Yes. In the eating and drinking portions of our show, we will talk about, it's really a flashback to some amazing food and beverage that's not vegan.
No.
And that is alcoholic.
Alcoholic. Yes, it is. And it's also not items. We're venturing outside of Orlando because we revisited Orlando last week. We're going down to Tampa.
How can we not, in the summer of the Run Disney Virtual Race Series, we do a lot surrounding those. So
We really
in the
do.
Orlando area and on the Disney property, even though we're not exclusively a Run Disney podcast,
We are not.
but we do one. Run Disney.
We do a race. Yes.
We would do a podcast for you. Hit us up. Not a sponsor.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Hello.
Indeed.
Anyway. Yes. We'll have fun food and beverage from Tampa.
We are. So lots of great stuff coming up this week, guys. So let's dive in.
Let's talk running.
Why don't you give your quick training update before I dive into my part?
What can I say? I'm 5 days away from finishing the 75 hard challenge. 2 workouts a day, a gallon of water, 10 pages of reading, a selfie every day, or a progress picture.
Yeah.
I don't always take it. Sometimes you take it.
Right.
One of those workouts has to be outside. The workouts have to be 3 hours, at least 3 hours apart from one another. And you have to follow a diet with no cheat meals for 75 days and no alcohol for 75 days.
It's a super convenient plan to follow if you're a travel podcast that focuses on food and drink. That's a healthy dose of sarcasm, or a side of sarcasm.
We have been able to highlight lots of tasty food and beverage.
We have.
So,
Because we are trained broadcast professionals. No, we actually just have been doing a lot of research because we know there are a lot of you out there that also are, I should say, the meal or the diet plan we chose to do for 75 Hard was plant-based.
yes.
And there's a lot of people out there eating plant-based these days. And now we're learning there's a lot of places offering plant-based options.
Exactly. And shout out to Main Street Miles Meg and her husband, Brian, who got on board with the 75 Hard challenge and are completing it maybe a month behind us or something like that. Stay tuned. But anyway, shout out to you because it's tough, especially going back to school because this is the first week of school, school year.
At least down here in Florida.
Yes, and she is an outstanding educator. So I'm almost done with it. Saturday at midnight.
Saturday at midnight, you finish.
I almost said Friday. No, 74 days, 74 hard. No, it doesn't work.
Does not.
It's been hard, but I definitely think that having you with me and us motivating and supporting each other We've accomplished a lot in this period. We've overcome a lot. And I've actually started training with Jeff Galloway in the midst of it at the beginning of July for our training season and hopefully for many live races as we resume being a travel podcast for runners.
Yes.
For back of the pack runners like us that love to run, eat, and drink. That's my training update.
So you've been doing your Galloway runs as part of your 2-a-day workouts.
That is correct. Yes, I've been doing cadence drills, acceleration gliders. We have talked about those in depth on the last couple of episodes. I feel good. I'm not doing 2 runs a day, and I think that has been beneficial to keep my IT band from screaming.
Sure.
To make sure that I stay healthy and not injured. I have some blisters, not going to lie, but I think doing yoga and strength training as a way to add variety into the mix has only helped make me stronger, and then hopefully will keep me under the threshold of any irritation of the IT band going forward, and the knee is healthy and safe. That's what I think.
Spot on. Yeah.
I rambled, sorry.
No, that's not rambling at all. I know I watch you do some of the yoga and I'm like, oh, I would kill myself. Like, I would break my neck. You would find me laying on the floor, flopping like a fish out of water.
I've offered for you to do it with me.
I know you have, and I appreciate that. That just does not look like my cup of tea, really.
You're a coffee drinker. Got it.
Yeah. But no, you're doing very well. You're down about 30 pounds. You're crushing it. Just had to go buy new, smaller clothes.
Oh, see, you're just giving all that up, right? Because you know I won't talk about it.
You won't talk about it, and that's something that I think is very cool.
I don't want to jinx myself.
I don't think you got to worry about that.
Okay.
But it's great to see. And that's not the reason behind 75 Hard. And we've talked about it on the show before. The 75 Hard program, some people refer to as 75 Hard Challenge. We have as well. But listening to the creator's podcast, he actually makes a point of saying that this is not a challenge. It's a program. Mm-hmm. And what it is really about is developing mental toughness and developing focus. And it is
on the details.
Yeah, focusing on small details, making sure you're making time for yourself and getting all the little things done. The little things being the things that make you accomplish the big things. And this translates into other areas of life. This is really almost a metaphor. It's a 75-day living metaphor for the way you should approach life. And when you listen to Andy Frisella's podcast, and it is definitely not safe for work.
No.
He is very in your face. It's a great entertaining podcast. But not safe for work. Yeah. But he really goes into a lot of that, and you
know what I like? I like his shorter. Sometimes he'll do interviews and things like that. They're
2 hours plus.
That are great. That are long form, great for a long run.
Yes.
But what I love are those 15-minute episodes that are about a single topic that can push you forward in life.
Yes.
To be successful and achieve goals you have.
Yeah, he would not have been somebody, or I should say his podcast initially wouldn't have been something I would have thought I would.
Really?
Initially,
you are a podcast connoisseur.
I am, and my tastes range all over the map. I have a very eclectic list of podcasts, and I consume spoken word content voraciously.
You do.
Rarely listen to music. I anymore. I do, but not nearly how it compares to podcasts.
Frequently. Yeah.
And initially, his topic that he tends to really hone in on is entrepreneurship, business development, entrepreneurship. That's not something I tend to gravitate towards, not because we don't own a business for the podcast and all of that, but we both have full-time careers. and do the podcasts on the side as a passion project. We're fortunate enough to have a wonderful community and patrons.
To do it full time.
We're not there yet. Now, I could probably start taking these lessons and we should start applying them to the show. And next thing, we're going to be, riding the Concorde to races all over the world, except the Concorde's not flying anymore. Never mind. You know what I mean? But so that would not have been something I would normally gravitate towards. But after you sent me this 75 hard thing and I checked it out and I listened to him, his show is actually great. So
I got it from somebody at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Crystal.
amazing how word of mouth helps you learn. So anyway, that's the background on 75 Hard. That's what this is all about. And then you come to find out that it's actually part of a larger year-long program. And we're going to get into that later on down the road.
Yes.
So
let's get to day 75.
Yeah, let's get one of us to day 75. Because my training update is a very different path than yours in some ways. Because and it's funny because I listened to last week's episode. And when it dropped that morning, it went into the feed. We normally record on Monday nights. It goes into the feed Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. and it's ready to go. That night, I ended up going to sleep at the end of a long day. We were tired. And Amy's listed off all the things you have to do. And
did I get them all?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You did. And there's some big stuff there. The 2-a-day workouts, everybody looks at that and goes, wow, that would be really tough.
It's a lot.
And then they would look at some of the quote unquote fine print and go, yeah, that would be easy.
The picture.
The reading, the drinking a gallon of water. They think that
is challenging.
It can be.
Yeah.
We get done on Monday night. We've had a very long day. One thing you really have mentioned in the general chats during social media, like this live streams, is how we're just exhausted. We are just perpetually tired right now.
We sleep really well.
We do. So when it's time to sleep, it's time to sleep. So I ended up going to sleep. We were both exhausted. We crawled into bed and we're just, done. And Amy says, hey, did you go check off the stuff on your list? And I said, I would, but that would require getting out of bed and I am way too tired. I'm good. I got it. Thinking I'd done everything. And then the next morning we wake up and we're getting ready in the morning and we're doing. And as we are in the midst of our morning routine, Amy starts hearing a loud string of expletives coming from the master bathroom
The bathroom.
The master bathroom,
yes.
That area.
Yes. That's true.
And
it was not funny at the time.
She is thinking something's horribly wrong, comes running in there, and I said...
And at first you didn't say anything. At first you were you had your head down, you were shaking your head, I had no idea what was going on, to be honest with you. The coffee had not yet kicked in.
No, and I hadn't had mine. So the reason for that, though, that expletive-laden tirade that was not directed at anyone other than myself, was that I realized that I had not finished my reading the night before. I had started my reading and did a few pages of it and then got sidetracked onto other tasks that were equally important, got those done, and forgot to come back to it, thinking in my head that box was checked. I had done my reading because I'd had that moment in my day where I sat down on the bed and had the book in front of me and open it.
And I should have let you finish.
Well, you and I had stuff to do that was equally important. Yeah. So I realized I hadn't done my reading. And the other thing about 75 Hard is that if at any point in the challenge you fail to complete all of your tasks on a day, you have to start over at day one. There is no doubling up on your reading the next day to catch up. There is no making up for it. You're done. And
Why is that?
That is, well, why do you think that is?
No. You tell me.
I think that
And
is...
tell us.
I think it's to make sure that you are holding yourself accountable, and it's to make sure that you're not making excuses, and it's to make sure that you are doing the little things. What were you going to say?
It is paying attention to details. It is the little steps that get you to the larger goal, not forgetting or losing sight of the fact that it's small steps that get you there, and making sure that you take those small steps and don't try to jump to or cut corners or something like that.
Yeah. And I think, and also make excuses. And that was one of those things for me where I had about a day and a half of being really ticked off at myself.
You were so mad.
And
so mad.
Ultimately, Amy's like, I'll start over with you. I'm like, absolutely not. This is my failure for myself, not you. And you finish yours. And she's like, well, you just catch up.
I could still fail. You're
not going to fail. We're going to get you across that line. You got 5 more days. Huh. But no, for me, it was just one of those things where, I know exactly why I did what I did. I know exactly how it happened. And had I gotten up when you said, oh, go check off, make sure your list is ticked off, I would have.
I said I really didn't want to see his face in the app. Like if you download his app, which is the checklist and the
Andy Frisella's app. Mm-hmm, yeah.
The 75 hard app. Yes, it costs money, but if you don't check off everything the next day, it shows his face all crinkled up and ticked off, going, and underneath it says, "What happened?" Yeah. And the reason I said that to you when we laid down to go to bed, it was like, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to see that over your shoulder. I don't want to see that on my own phone. But so that's why I said that to you.
Yeah. No. And again, I wish I had at the time. It didn't happen. Having said that, now a week on from my #75 fail, what I decided to do was go ahead and complete it. I should say, go ahead and complete. Continue, even though I will not earn the right to say that I finished. I'm going to go ahead and finish with you. So every day since then, I'm doing my 2-a-day workouts, drinking my gallon of water, doing everything we listed out. And that is me seeing it through and then deciding, okay, I'm going to finish this out to finish this with you. Make sure that you're hitting your goals. Make sure that this isn't going to happen again. And then I have to start over. What the interesting part of this is Amy and I were embarking on this together.
Yes.
And this started on June 1st.
Yes.
Carrying us through April 15th. Or August 15th.
August 15th. Good God, man.
It's going to feel like it, because what's going to happen for me is I'm going to be going back to day 1 beginning on August 25th. Amy will not. So what will happen going forward for the next few weeks after we get back from Alaska is that we will be covering a bunch of different options on the show for food and beverage and some differences in training, because one of us is going to be hardcore into the 75 hard challenge and the other one is not. So you guys are going to get a little bit of a different perspective on the food and beverage coverage for the foreseeable future. We're still going to be doing the same amazing stuff that we always do. These killer runs now that we're traveling, the food and beverage, but I'll be doing I don't want to say the healthy version. That's not necessarily right.
The plant-based version.
I'm going to stick with a plant-based diet, and Amy is going to broaden her horizons a little bit during
for a
that
while.
Time. For a while.
For a while.
Until you decide to do the next phase of this. And we're going to talk about that on a later episode.
Indeed.
But the main thing to focus on is the fact that, what I want to focus on is what can I take away from this? And I think it's an important thing for everybody out there, because we've all had training failures or blown a diet or didn't hit a goal or a challenge. And it's very easy to let that turn into a cascade of additional failures. I went off on my diet, therefore I blew the whole diet, therefore I should eat this entire bag of Cheetos or Doritos. I didn't...
Or stop working out, or all of the above.
Exactly. I didn't get the job I was going for, therefore I'm not going to try for any other positions or any other opportunities that come up. The question becomes, what are you doing when you fail? How do you handle it? And it's okay to be mad, or at least for me, I needed to be able to vent and just be pissed and say what I needed to say to myself out loud. And then but the main question is, how do you come back from it? How do you handle it? And if anything, I will say that the time doing the 75 hard challenge probably helped me a little bit with that. So having the wherewithal to look at all the work I've put in and realize it wasn't a waste of time.
You have done a tremendous amount of work. And I would hate to see it fall by the wayside. I don't want my hard work to fall by the wayside just because we're past day 75. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So when you start over, it's going to be a challenge for me not to just go right along with you.
Right.
And I want to.
We'll see what you're going to do with the next phase. And again, we're going to talk about the next phase in an upcoming episode. But yeah, that's something I want everyone to take away from is I've talked about the fact that I failed on some of our live streams. So this is not a complete revelation to everybody listening, but many of you don't have the opportunity or haven't had a chance to jump into one of our live streams. Right. So if you haven't, now you know. The secret's out. And I think it's just important to remember that part of what we do as runners, we put ourselves through your body takes a beating. You're out in horrible elements. It's not always the funnest personal sport to do. There are times where it's just a chore and you got to get through it. We do all of that for why? For what reason? You're doing it to improve yourself. You're doing it to reach a goal. You're doing it to whatever the reason is. And you got to be able to understand you're going to have a bad run. You're going to have a bad workout. And then, of course, that living metaphor, that thing that translates. How do you take those running lessons and apply them to life? Or in this case, the training lesson from 75 hard or the life lesson from 75 hard and apply it to life. Well, that's how, and for me anyway. So that's what's going to be happening with me. Now, I guess you could say the one area that I'm going to fudge a little bit is going to be, rather than my day 75 that I would have done, where I'm going to be, or where I would have not had anything until midnight. The way we scheduled this, we're going to be doing our next destination race
in Tampa,
back at the Tampa Beer Run. So I will at least be free to do the sampling.
Yes.
For that
you will.
Race.
Yes.
So I will be covering that live. So I guess if anything, I'm going to see it through till almost the very end. That is just so that we do have the content for the show. But getting right back on post this big upcoming trip, and then going forward, carrying our coverage forward in a slightly different way.
I'm proud of you. I hate to see you beat yourself up.
I'm not beating myself up anymore.
Oh, I know, but
I needed to do it that morning.
That was very hard. I talked about that on the chat, how it was harder to see you fail than to fail myself. And I think that anybody who has a loved one who's close to them, who doesn't reach a goal, can relate to that. And what you feel because you can't do anything.
Right.
To make it better. They just have to walk through it and deal with it. And then you have to be there to support and encourage and help them find a path forward. So we're finding a path forward.
And it's nice to have somebody who is supportive and helping. And sometimes that support and help is just let somebody vent.
Yeah.
But what I'd love to hear from members of the Runcation Nation out there. Tell us about a time when you've had a failure that you've had to overcome or push through. We would love to hear your story.
Yes.
Send us your story to info@runeatdrink.net. That's our email. Record it on your phone, a little audio message, and email that to us. We would love to hear about that and share it and help others in the Runcation Nation learn and experience that with you and support you and maybe learn from how you got through a hard time.
Absolutely. info@runeatdrink.net, or you could even call us at 941-677-2733.
Yeah, call us at that number, 941-677-2733. Leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
Do it that way.
Yeah. We'd love to hear it. And I think that everybody's lessons help us all grow stronger.
100%. So, speaking of growing stronger, we do have something to share with everybody that this is bittersweet.
Yes.
We are mourning the loss of a member of the Runcation Nation who recently passed away, and that's Rob Nadal. If you are part of our Runcation Nation Facebook group, you are familiar with his amazing photography.
Or
if you've been on the live streams.
Yes, if you've been on the live streams, you've seen him in the chat. You've learned from his experience and wisdom as an ultra runner.
And you've even heard him on the show.
Yes. Heard him on the show in more than one way because he was one of our earliest patrons. He's actually called in and left messages when we say, dial 941-677-2733.
He was somebody we developed a very close bond with, really from the very beginning.
Yes.
And it was just so wonderful to build that friendship. And we never got a chance to meet him.
No, we heard his voice. We saw his amazing photographs. We experienced the world through everything he did to show us the all over beautiful destinations that he would get a chance to run in his work.
Out in the Western United States.
Yeah, the places we had never been. And over the last 18 months, when we couldn't travel as a running podcast, a travel running podcast, he sustained us, lifted us up, and showed us beautiful places that we will eventually get to again.
And Rob all the time had...
Or for the first time.
Yeah, it's going to feel like we were there once.
Yeah.
And Rob was always quick with a positive remark, something supportive, and fantastic knowledge when it came to running, technical aspects, equipment, or nutrition. So he was a wealth of knowledge, and he's somebody who's going to be just incredibly missed. And it actually hit us really hard. It hit everybody really hard, I think, in the Runcation Nation Facebook group.
It was very sudden and unexpected.
And we were fortunate enough that Patty, his wife, has maintained contact with us. And she let us know this was something that Rob was planning on doing prior to his passing. And she and the family made sure that it happened. And this is the race that we're going to tell you all about as an opportunity to do a virtual race in Rob's honor.
Yes. She actually messaged me today. She says, thank you so much for promoting the run on your episode this week. Rob really loved running, and he really loved being involved with your group. He always wanted to do his own podcast. We just didn't know how to start. He loved his family. He was a great husband for 28 years and a great provider. He had an amazing sense of humor, and his family's happiness mattered above his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Patty, for sharing that with us. And we are going to tell everybody about this race opportunity. This is going to be the We Love Truckers Rob Nadal Memorial virtual race. This is a virtual race of a variety of distances, honoring the life of one of our own that we lost too soon. It supports organizations that he wanted to highlight and help, such as St. Christoper's Trucker Relief Fund and Koch Trucking. These organizations work to support and show appreciation for the many truck drivers across the United States. We've already got people who've registered.
Yeah, some who have been in the group when Patty posted it, the race, have said they already registered for distances. Some were asking the question of, I don't know if I can do it during the period when you normally would complete this virtual, which is in September. Can I do it after? Can I do it before? Can I still register? And she's like, yes, absolutely. Some are like, I don't need a virtual race. I'm just going to go straight to St. Christoper's Truckers Relief Fund. I'm going to donate.
And they're just donating in his honor.
So it's amazing to see the support. I know that she wants to have as many people register and donate as possible to make it as big a celebration of his life as possible. And we're too. We know several members of the Runcation Nation who have either donated or registered for a certain distance. You can do 5K, 10K, half marathon, ultra. It's you can do whatever.
You choose your distance.
And Patty has partnered with a company to do swag. And it's amazing what she has been able to work with everybody in the family to put together.
Yeah.
So we'll be running our miles during Truck Driver Appreciation Week, which is September 12th through the 18th, and it culminates in Rob's birthday on the 18th.
And Rob would have been 57 this year on September 18th. So we're going to run that in his honor, and we're hoping that all of you listening will consider signing up.
Yes.
Pick your distance, run the race, celebrate this amazing man who brightened all of our social media feeds over the last year and a half, especially during a time where the country was locked down. And that was his hobby. And then for his profession, he was making sure that those goods that you were ordering online while you couldn't go out and go shopping were still making it to your home or to the store.
Getting us supplies we needed, beautiful images to sustain us and inspire us.
Absolutely.
As runners.
So we're going to have links to, of course, the runsignup.com link for this race in the show notes. We are also going to have dedicated links to St. Christoper's Trucker Relief Fund, and that's going to be truckersfund.org. And we're going to also have a link to Koch Trucking. That's KOCH trucking.us. We love and miss Rob with all of our hearts. This is somebody who was just so special to us, and we cannot be more sad by his loss and grieve right along with Patty and the family. And we know that the rest of the Runcation Nation shares that sentiment and sends all the love and support that we can to them during this incredibly hard time.
Yes.
And we look forward to being able to celebrate and honor him during September.
Yes. We love you, Rob. Let's flash back to some amazing food and beverage in the spirit of the early days of the podcast when Rob found us after we liked one of his pictures.
Yeah. Ever since we started the show, we have been a huge fan of food trucks.
Oh,
There's something about being able to go to food trucks that are unique to an area. Like we have food trucks that operate just in Southwest Florida. So you may come to Florida, but unless you come to Southwest Florida, maybe in the 3-county area, you're probably not going to get the food from this particular place or from a particular food truck. Same thing goes when we travel all over the country, regardless of the state that we go to.
yeah.
And there are amazing food trucks out there. It's even popularized in Food Network TV shows.
That is true. I love the great food truck race.
Yes.
I love it immensely.
And it's amazing to see what these food truck operators go through to make sure that they're able to sling amazing food for the customers and how they go about finding customers and getting the word out. And when we travel, even if we're traveling here in Florida, we still like to go get a food truck every now and then.
Ooh, yes.
And on a trip to Tampa, not too long ago, we were staying
before the challenge.
Yeah, we were staying in downtown Tampa, and we were going for a morning run on the Riverwalk.
Yeah.
And that's a Christmas tradition for us.
I love that. And I think last year, right after my surgery, we did the Run for a Clause live.
We did.
On the Riverwalk, if anybody remembers that. It was great. And normally we're there on a holiday like that or on a weekend. But we just so happened to be up there on a weekday this time, walking the Riverwalk, going, I'm hungry. Maybe we'll go back to the hotel and see what they have for breakfast. And then we got to the place where we would normally step off the Riverwalk and go back to our hotel where we were staying. And we see this little truck, this little white truck. It's smaller than your regular sized food truck.
More like a food trailer.
More like a food trailer. And on the side of it reads Yoke, White, and Associates.
And the food truck is themed to look like a little law office.
It's adorable.
And the sign, Yoke, comma, White, comma, and Associates. Like a little law office.
Like, here's the food office of Yoke, White, and Associates. Come have breakfast. And apparently it's a thing where this food truck is there during the week so that people who work in that district...
Yeah, the downtown district where we were staying happens to be surrounded by skyscrapers with banking and
Businesses.
law offices, and it's a heavy commercial area.
They can get their breakfast fix, and it doesn't have to be going around a window at a fast food place. It can be something unique, fresh, and supporting a local business.
And we have eaten the breakfast at our hotel before, and we're like, okay.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
If you've got the chance, if you have the opportunity to eat something that's fresh, that's local, and that is potentially unique, how do you not? How do you not?
And before we get into the food, the setup on this truck was legit.
Do tell.
I don't even know how to describe it, but we walked up, and it's like a little trailer, like you said, and there's only enough room in there for one person when you look inside. Really?
Yes.
Maybe two.
Maybe two, but even I don't think you really have room for two.
So
I think it was a one-man band.
Yes, he was. And he was just cooking. He had a line of people.
That was actually what attracted our attention initially. It was like, what's this crowd standing around this little trail. Oh, that's a food truck.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That crowd, that tells you something.
It's not a traditional food truck kind. There was the water coolers, like this, I don't know, Culligan or Zephyr Hills, or those little water coolers you see in the office.
Yeah, the 5-gallon water jugs.
Yeah, it's outside the truck.
Yeah, he had geared up running water by outfitting the trailer with one of those 5-gallon jugs.
Yeah.
To give him running water.
Purified water, there it is. And it's like it's coming in and allowing him to cook and wash and do all the things he needed to do in that truck. And he had a stove.
Yeah.
Just
was using, I believe, an Instant Pot for some things.
I think it was an Instant Pot.
And it was, in talking with him while he was preparing our food, it's very clearly he's not out there all day.
No.
He comes for the breakfast rush.
Breakfast crowd.
And then he's done.
Yeah.
And he knows the target market and the area, and it was really interesting. And we have great photos.
Which we will post.
But the food. This is breakfast food that had no business coming off of a food truck. It is so shocking to me.
He had a toaster and just...
Yeah, he had literally everything that you would need in a kitchen, but a very small version of it.
Yeah, very compact. He had a mixer and a hot plate and just... He had it going. Did all the right things that you need to do to prepare food safely.
Mm-hmm.
Just... And the smell coming off the truck or the trailer.
Yeah, we'll call it a truck.
Okay. So good. So stinking good. I had what he calls the Cajun, which is a frittata with Dylan's grits and as a side. So the Cajun is andouille sausage, poblano pepper, onion, white cheddar, sour cream dollop for $6, people.
Yeah.
It's a huge portion for $6. Let me just tell you. Cheesy. I love white cheddar. There's something so tangy about it. And those grits were just coarse, cheesy, buttery, magic. And the frittata, it looks like an omelet. The way that he served it, because he packages everything to go, clearly, because you can only fit 2 people in that truck. And so I think it just cries out for eating on the Riverwalk. It's beautiful there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
If I worked down there, granted, I could see the appeal of going to grab breakfast on your way into the office.
Sure.
But if you have the ability to leave the office for a bit, run down during your morning coffee break and get a bite to eat, have a few minutes to look at the water and watch people boating by.
Decompress a little bit.
Yeah. I think that'd be a great way to do it.
The andouille sausage was spicy and poblano pepper. It's not as spicy as, say, a habanero or a jalapeno. But you don't need that with andouille sausage because it has its own special Louisiana type spice. Mm-hmm. And it was so good. It didn't even need the sour cream, but that kind of cut through the spice a little.
And how are the eggs?
Oh, fluffy and magical. I love eggs. I miss them so much. I miss them a lot. But they were just buttery, fluffy goodness that held the poblano peppers and the onions and the sausage and the cheese. I almost didn't let Dana have some. You understand. You can relate.
True story.
That's all I'm saying.
We're looking at the photo. It's pretty magical. God. Not going to lie.
But I think you were winning also with what you ordered.
Yeah. I don't think there was a bad way to go here. I got an egg sandwich. I grew up, I love egg sandwiches. I just always have. he was offering 2 egg sandwiches, 3 omelets, and 2 frittatas. So he had a nice spread of options, and each one was very unique from the other. And I went with something called the English. So I went with a fried egg sandwich topped with goat cheese, bacon spread, and arugula on an English muffin for $5. Now, I think bang for your buck wise, I think that you actually come out ahead with that frittata and that side of grits.
For $6.
For $6.
Okay.
That said, this was a perfectly toasted English muffin, which, I mean, come on. Crispy, chewy, fluffy.
An English muffin like that?
Yeah.
I love it.
Perfectly done. A fried egg. I love a good fried egg. A little bit of salt and pepper. You don't have to get too fancy. And I ended up going with a over hard.
I was going to ask you because I didn't remember any kind of runny egg in that sandwich.
There's
I wasn't
a reason
sure if
why.
I was imagining that.
Yeah, so over hard egg and the bacon spread. I think it was more like a bacon jam kind of thing going on.
So good.
You know, bacony, oniony, a little bit sweet. You get the smokiness and the saltiness and a little bit of sweetness.
God,
And then
I miss bacon.
you get goat cheese. And goat cheese is that creamy, tart, funky, spreadable cheese that is just, it's basically, yes, it's magical. And it's just one of those things.
It's different from cheddar. It's different from that white cheddar.
It's a completely different
Texturally.
texture, flavor, the funk that you get from it. It's not exactly like a blue cheese funk. It's its own thing, and that's the goat's milk. And it's if you've never had goat cheese, I cannot recommend enough that you give it a try. I think goat's cheese in like breakfast food is a secret weapon. If you're doing something like a Mediterranean omelet, a lot of times they'll include, a lot of times they'll use feta. And feta is great, except that feta is a harder cheese.
True.
And, you know, it's tart and it's salty, but
Saltier.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Goat cheese has a better, I think, a better melt, and it's softer. And I think if you're doing a Mediterranean, that's probably a better way to go.
I liked the arugula on this sandwich.
And then I was going to say, and then it's topped with, or you get that additional, that bed of arugula, everything that it's all sitting on. And arugula being a bitter but somewhat peppery, spicy green.
So good.
I love arugula on sandwiches more than lettuce. I think lettuce is one of those things that sometimes it's the right topping, but man, arugula is hard to beat. And this just complemented everything so perfectly. So you had every texture you could want. You really had every flavor you could want. Sweet, savory, salty,
Smoky.
sour, smoky, peppery, crunchy, chewy,
Bready.
soft. This thing hit every note
So listen,
for $5.
$5, $6. I just think, and everything on the menu is priced like this.
The most expensive thing on the menu is $6.
Yeah. Seriously. I would say, if you're coming to the Tampa area for, let's say, a Bucks game or a hockey game, or if you are coming for Gasparilla at the end of February,
I would say anything that's going to put you downtown.
if you can be in town prior to the race or as you leave town on a Friday or a Monday, it's a great way to send off or to head home to have this kind of breakfast after your accomplishment and then to get on your flight or drive home. Awesome. Just great.
100%. This is a food truck I would recommend you seek out. They, I believe, do have a Facebook page, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken. In fact, I'm looking at photos of their food truck on Facebook as we speak. Check them out.
Yeah.
If you are going to be in Tampa, they are just doing amazing food for an incredibly reasonable price. There are very few places you could get breakfast for 2 people for
Right.
under $12 before tip.
Oh, yeah. It's just Fantastic.
And you could do a progressive thing downtown.
Yeah.
You could go from there for breakfast. You could head down the road for a cup of coffee. There are a number of places right in the downtown area that would give you, great options for a morning cup of coffee. I believe that he has some beverages on the truck as well. If you're in Tampa, if you're not going to avail yourself of the opportunity to get some Cuban coffee, and you're wasting an opportunity. Trust me on this one. Go find some Cuban coffee. But
he has coffee.
He does. But I believe that it was a standard American coffee.
Yeah.
I'm just steering people towards some Cuban coffee is what I'm doing.
Exactly. So it's fantastic.
But Yoke White and Associates, check them out.
And I linked to their Yelp, the Yelp entry, because there are so many pictures of the amazing food. That's all I'm going to say.
Outstanding. Let's talk drinks.
Oh, yes. Let's. And this time, it is a well-established restaurant, both in our family traditions and also in Tampa proper.
Absolutely.
It's a place that we featured on the show before.
We have featured DATZ, D-A-T-Z, on our show before, and this is a phenomenal restaurant in South Tampa, over off of McDill is the main stretch of road, just south of Beta Bay. Just north of Beta Bay Boulevard, and it is...
You could tell me north or south. I have no idea. I can't. I need...
For people who might be listening, I don't want them to get the wrong directions.
I need landmarks, but okay, whatever.
And this is a place that has come on very strong in the Tampa culinary scene, but they are consistently one of the places, like Amy said, it's a place that we go as a family for celebrations of all stripes. And it's a place that has an amazing selection of food for the savory options, food for sweet options, because you can go right next door to their sister location, Dough, which has ice cream and candy and cookies, that type of thing. But they have a pretty strong cocktail game that we've got to talk about tonight.
We do. We have featured them back when we were a video podcast in the early days. Episode 23, when you covered the waffles and tweet.
Yes.
And on Quick Bite 31, when I covered the Dunk This Donut cocktail.
It's basically a chocolate martini with a powdered donut in it.
It's so flippin' good. So
I remember what it was like to have adult beverages way back then.
We're going to have them again.
Coming soon.
But this is also one to be highlighted because this is a place that's connected to our family. They have great cocktails, and it's one of my favorite flavors.
Amy.
And one of your favorite spirits.
It is. This really has a little something for both of us. And when I saw this on the menu, I'm like, how have we not ordered this before?
I think it left the menu temporarily.
It did.
And then returned because when we saw it, it said it's back.
Yes. This is the salted caramel old fashioned. For those of you who might be fans of the old fashioned, this is a sweeter take on the classic cocktail. And let me just tell you, I never would have thought to combine these things in this way. This is Devil's River Bourbon, which is a brand of bourbon I don't think that I've ever had before.
On its own.
Or in a drink. I'm not familiar with it, but it's one that I need to take a look at.
Yeah, we need to find it. Not right now, but yeah.
Yes, soon. This also combines another spirit, which is not something you normally see in an old-fashioned, and that's Lustau Amontillado Sherry.
Yeah. Unusual, right?
Very.
Yeah.
I've never seen sherry in an old-fashioned, in any recipe that we've ever covered, or even one that we haven't covered.
Bourbon, simple, muddled cherries, orange.
Yeah.
Muddled orange. Let's just,
That's the classic for sure.
And bitters.
Yes. Yeah, a bitters of some sort. This also has a salted caramel syrup
In place of the simple.
in place of the simple, which is ingenious. Black walnut bitters and orange bitters. What a great combo there. So let's...
And listen, it's garnished with a caramel with salt.
Yeah, they actually spear a caramel
Candy,
cube and then
yeah.
cover it with like kosher salt.
Yes. It's so good. It's a great way to end the beverage. But
Break this down for us.
the bourbon is smoky. The sherry just adds a little bit of a dry element. And then you get the salted caramel syrup. Oh, just sweet and salt together. It's,
The salt makes the sweet pop.
yeah, yes, of course. Salt and pepper, it brings out flavors. It's like putting coffee in a chocolate brownie recipe.
Ooh, look at you dropping some food knowledge.
Well,
Yeah.
but a lot of people know about that. I don't think I'm dropping some big thing, big revelation, if you will. But, I think that I also think the bitters just bring out that caramel flavor, and caramel pairs so nicely with the smoke of the bourbon.
Yeah, some of the natural tasting notes of bourbon tend to be very caramel and vanilla. That's what you get from the charred oak barrel. So when you have that paired with caramel syrup, I think it's hand in glove. What a great fit.
Yeah.
This drink, the entire table of our family ordered,
Yes.
and several people ordered a second one
Oh, yeah.
because it was that good. I thought...
Several of the designated drinkers, not the
Yes.
designated drivers.
Yeah. I thought this drink was incredibly smooth. The Devil's River Bourbon had a flavor profile strong enough to cut through the sweetness for you to taste the bourbon, but it didn't have a harshness to it.
Very complimentary flavors. It
Yes.
didn't burn the back of your throat.
No. And a lot of times restaurants will use a cheaper bourbon or a bourbon that has a mash bill that ends up being very harsh. And they do that so that it'll cut through the mixers. I think that they went with a higher end thing, and they were just very smart about their application of the other ingredients in the drink.
Somebody probably worked really hard on the ratios.
Yeah, and I think that there were some smart choices made, like using a salted caramel syrup instead of simple, I think was smart. I also think that the combination of black walnut and orange bitters was really smart. Black walnut bitters on its own definitely gives you like that aroma of walnuts, but it can be harsh on its own. I think that it needs to be combined with either a chocolate bitters or, in this case, orange bitters.
Yeah.
And I think that incredibly smart. The end result, would you call this a dessert drink?
I don't think you said that everybody at the table had one or more.
Or more. We'll just leave it at that.
And I don't think
I was not one of those people.
heavy. You were a designated driver,
Right.
so it was not heavy. It was not a dessert drink. I think you can have it with, it's nice to have with a great steak and potato type meal or a pasta like some people had at the table. I don't think that it overwhelms any food that you would have as a dessert type flavor. What did you think?
No, I think you're absolutely right. This,
You agree?
I do. This one, if reading it, you read the ingredients, it sounds like it would be so sweet it would be desserty.
Yeah,
You could have this as an after dinner drink,
you could.
but like you said, it's light enough to enjoy with a meal, and that's also, I think, a testament to
In terms of body.
yes, and in terms of sweetness. I don't think it wasn't cloyingly sweet. It wasn't going to overpower you. I loved it.
Yeah, and it's not going to be the wrong type of flavor to have with a savory dish.
No, not at all.
So, I love this one. And they have a really large and eclectic beer menu as well.
They do. Dats is a fantastic spot. It's one of those places that if you're going to be in Tampa for, like you said, a game, you're traveling for a runcation or business, you've got to stop by. Mm-hmm. You're not going to go wrong, whether you go for lunch, dinner, or even a weekend brunch. Oh. You cannot go wrong there. We are going to have a link, of course, in the show notes, but check them out. And when you're there, try a salted caramel old fashioned.
Definitely. So, we've talked running, eating, and drinking.
We have.
So, that brings us to the conclusion of our episode.
Sadly,
yeah,
it does. Next week, we are going to be talking, of course, about the Tampa Beer Run, where I'm going to actually get to sample some stuff because I 75 failed, but that's okay.
You're doing it for the show.
I'm going to take one for the team.
You're doing it for the show. You're doing it for me. I expect vivid detail about how it tastes so I can live vicariously through you until midnight.
And then you're going to give us vivid detail about your entire journey over the last 75 days on the 75 Hard Challenge.
Okay.
That's going to happen.
Okay.
And we are going to be announcing the upcoming Couch to 10K series that I'm going to be doing as a live stream series.
I'm excited you're going to do that.
And we're going to let everybody know about that, when it's going to be starting, how it's going to go, how it's going to finish, and where they can join in.
Normally, we encourage you to head to a place like Apple Podcasts and give us rating and review, or to share our show. But really, given what we've talked about tonight, while we were recording this episode, I just want to encourage everybody to head on over to the links for the virtual race.
Absolutely. If you have it in your heart, go over there and sign up for the virtual race. If you're not feeling like doing a virtual, consider making a donation
to St. Christoper's Truckers Relief Fund. Or if you're feeling like doing a virtual, then sign up for the We Love Truckers Rob Nadal Memorial Virtual Race. Rob, link is in the show notes. And Rob, we love you more than we could say.
Thank you guys for listening this week. We appreciate you joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, or wherever you are.
I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe, stay well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.
Hi, Dana and Amy and the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. This is truck driver Rob out here in Grants Pass, Oregon. And you posed a question, what do you think about virtual races? And for myself, personally, I don't see much use in them because I'm running all over the country anyway, so I'm doing different things like that, and I don't need them really to motivate me. However, it's a good way to fundraise all over the country, I guess, because you could run it all over the country. And if you need that to motivate yourself to get out the door, that's pretty good. I would think they would have to be short, like 5K or right around there. I couldn't see a virtual marathon going on, but so that's my take on it. I've done a few through some running groups, and I'm like, why am I doing this? We wanted to see your time against other people. And it's like, man, I don't care how I stack up against others, really. And there was no bling or shirt involved in it, but there was no race fee either. So, but I'm fine just picking out a spot anywhere in the United States where I might be and going for a run. But if people like them virtual races and collecting medals and shirts, and they can motivate themselves to get out the door, then that's a good thing too. All right, you guys, have a good one. Looking forward to your next podcast, and we'll talk to you later. Goodbye. Hey, Dana and Amy, this is Rob. Fantastic job you guys are doing. I thought I'd answer your question for last week's podcast, and it was, what do you do? As I understood it, what do you do when you get in the doldrums of running? And, well, for me, I move around a lot, so I don't get a lot of doldrums because I'm always running in a different place. And when I was home a lot, I would actually move around town and run in different spots, just not run in the same spot, and that would help. And the other one was, if you have a bad training run or a bad race, what do you do? And I kind of take the baseball analogy at it. It's a training run. It's just it was a bad at bat, and you have bad at bats, and then you get up the next time and you give it a good one, and so the next time may work out. I had lots of bad at bats and several not too good games, but we just keep at it. So hopefully you can use some of that information, and we look forward to your next podcast. All right, bye-bye. Hi, Amy and Dana. This is Rob out on the West Coast, and I thought I'd answer your question about what I carry and stuff and what I pack. Since I'm on the road about 26 out of every 30 days, I'll tell you what I keep on the truck, and it's a real small quarter. And so I have 2 pairs of running shorts, 4 performance, briefs or underwear, 4 dry fit t-shirts, 4 pairs of running socks, and of course a pair of shoes. And I also keep cold weather gear on here with 2 pairs of sweats. One's a little bit thicker than the other one. And I have a base layer of Under Armour and a sweatshirt. I also carry, beanies for your head, some gloves, and I also have and I also carry some towels for wiping down when you're real sweaty. And I also have an Ultra Pack that I use for long distance runs, so I can pull from that. And in that, I have Nun tablets, which I add to my handheld. I either carry water in there, or I add some Nun flavor tablets to that, and it's got a little bit of electrolytes in there. I have some baby powder, or I have some honey stingers. I have some lip balm, sunscreen, sunglasses. I have a pain gel, like Blue Emo, that kind of stuff. Squirrel nut butter, which is like a body glide, so an anti-shave. I have a headlamp, and I have mustard packs, and ginger chews. And I think that's about all, and that doesn't take up a lot of space. And it's always good to be prepared when you come on the road, because you'd hate to miss out on a good running opportunity. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope I didn't miss anything. And I really enjoy your guys' podcast. So, and I also have hats, one of them safari type hats for the sun. It's got a big long bill out and ear flaps that come down to cover your neck and ears. And so, yeah, so I enjoy your podcast, and I hope this message wasn't too long and you get it all. And we'll be looking forward to next week's podcast. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you're still in and you want to call back, you are more than welcome to do so. I don't know if you're still in the chat and you want to call. Oh, my
Rob
God.
Nadal.
Rob Nadal, welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Well, hello. How are you guys?
We're great.
Where are you calling from tonight,
Yeah.
sir?
I am in Salt Lake City.
Ooh.
What's the old line? I don't know. You might know this name, Rob, being a trucker. I used to listen to a show on AM radio called Coast to Coast with Art Bell.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So I actually, because it's a little bit delayed, so I had to remind myself to turn down the sound because I was listening to the podcast. So, yeah. Marcel, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, west of the Rockies, you're on the air, because that's what that's what he used to say all the time.
Anyway, you know how I found your show? It was completely by accident.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I was doing a run somewhere out in Oregon, and Run, Eat, Drink podcast liked one of my pictures.
Well, that's not a surprise.
I know.
Your pictures are amazing.
I have no idea who this Run, Eat, Drink podcast was. And so I picked up your show probably about into the 70s or maybe 80s episodes. And I listened to it and I'm like, hey, this ain't too bad here. So you guys keep me entertained at least for an hour a week. You know, it beats the radio and you are genuine. That's what I picked up on. You guys are like genuine and you're really expressive with expressing the courses that you were running on. And the food, it just makes my mouth water.
Yes. Oh.
And the alcohol, I don't drink alcohol. You know, I haven't had a drink in 30 years, but,
wow.
You know, you guys still explain it really well and everything. So that's just what I get from the show. And I really like your chats because it gives me something to do on the road.
Oh, fantastic. This
Awesome.
is so good to hear.
And Rob, we've complimented you, you know, in the chats and everything, but I will tell you, I don't know, you must have the best cell phone camera ever.
I don't even.
Or just the best eye. I
think he has talent and the eye.
Yeah. The photos that you drop into our Facebook group, Runcation Nation over on Facebook, are just gorgeous.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you like them.
You are the unofficial photographer of the Running Drink podcast, but you could be official. You could make some serious money if you wanted to.
You could quit trucking and you know, get out there.
Yeah.
And
yeah. One day, if you ever get out here, or if I get back there, maybe we can do a run together, and that'd be super great.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. And we love getting out. We love the western part of the U.S. And we are, you know, as we start hoping more states are opening up and more races are coming back, we're looking out there because we really love getting out that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the heat as long as it's a little drier than what we have here. So, and I love that terrain.
All righty.
I know he can show us a thing or two.
And Rob's one of the OG original patrons of the show.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much for supporting and lifting us up. We cannot thank you enough.
Well, great. And I thank you guys for all that you do for your listeners and everything. And I'm going to wish you a good night. And I'm going to let Maria get in here. I know she's waiting to get in.
All right.
Okay. Rob, thank you so much.
Rob. Thank you.
Hey, we look forward to hearing about all of your adventures and seeing the pictures.
Okay, you got it.
Take care, Rob. Thanks for calling.
All right, bye-bye.
All the chat comments are agreeing too. Like, his pictures are great. They really are. You can put them on a postcard. All right, Maria, go for it. Quick.
Instagram. Oh, wait a minute. What happened?
I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
That was a video chat from somebody else in a different app. I don't know who that was.
In Instagram. Something.
See, technology.
I'm not sure. But at any rate.
Try back again.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, you can try back again. We'll see what happens.
Oh, I am pleased it's worked as well as it has. I know. And you guys have just been amazing tonight. I mean, really, this has been just a phenomenal way to celebrate and
it has
and come together with you guys for this time.
Yes.
We are very thankful. It's. Mm-hmm. I know we've said that and said that and said that, but it's so true.